Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for your testimony today. I'm really appalled at all that I've heard. And let me just say, having been in the classroom for 40 years, having trained teachers, I really resent much of what's been said about our unions, particularly the NEA. I support them, I support unions and what they do for children. But let me just begin by saying this pretty plainly. Anti-Semitism is real, it's rising, and it has no place in our schools. Every student, Jewish, Muslim, Black, brown, or otherwise, deserves to feel safe, respected, and protected in their learning environment, and that's not up for debate. And when students tell us that they don't feel safe, we have a responsibility to listen, not to score political points, not to pit one group against another, but to take action that protects each and every child. But what troubles me is how too often, instead of working together on solutions, some of this committee have chosen to weaponize anti-Semitism as a political tool to undermine teachers, to attack unions, and to discredit higher education. I've spent 40 years in the classroom as a professor, and I've taught in public education as well, public schools, and I'm a product of public schools. My daughter works in public schools. My children all went to public schools, but I know what really happens in our schools. Teachers show up every day to nurture, to challenge, to protect our children, and they're not the problem. And blaming them doesn't do anything to keep Jewish students safe. So let me just turn to Rabbi Jacobs and ask you, Rabbi Jacobs, the majority has claimed that anti-Semitism in our schools is being brought there by teachers unions, and even by academic views. And how do you respond to that assertion, and what do you see as the real drivers of anti-Semitism in schools today?
Thank you. I want to echo what you said. There are more than 3 million people who wake up every morning and teach our children in public schools, and I've seen their extraordinary work personally as a graduate of public schools, as a parent of public school students. And teachers get into this profession because they care about children, because they want children to learn. And we've heard accusations against teachers, against administrators, and of course we can come up with egregious examples, but the vast majority of our teachers and administrators walk into those school buildings every morning because they want to help children learn. I also want to appreciate Representative Hayes for clarifying that the NEA Regional Assembly did pass that resolution that was mentioned, but that the board rejected it, and that the NEA president showed her leadership in making a very powerful statement about anti-Semitism. And this is actually an example of how engagement with the community is the response, not punitive responses. And similarly, in public schools, when there is an instance of anti-Semitism, the response should be to engage with the school, to ensure that the school's code of conduct is followed, to engage with the school district, and of course, if it can't be resolved at that level, to bring it to the Office for Civil Rights, which, as we've said, has been decimated.
Okay, let me move on if I can. I have some more questions. So the Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Education is supposed to be on the front lines of protecting students, but we've seen that office gutted and undermined. How could the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights better serve Jewish students right now, and what resources or authority would make the greatest difference?
Thank you. Just over a year ago, Jewish organizations and civil rights organizations supported Representative Goldman's bill, the Showing Up for Students Act, which would have increased the OCR budget by $280 million. And that is money that is desperately needed so that the office that has the mandate to investigate and to resolve complaints, as well as the experts who have the knowledge to do so, can do their work. And so what we need to do is we need to restore funding to the Office for Civil Rights, and we need to ensure that they can investigate and resolve complaints when they come.
Listen, I've heard from Jewish students in various meetings. They don't want their pain to be politicized. They want to be safe. They want to be a part of a community. And I think what we've heard here today is pretty awful. I want to yield back to the representative from Connecticut.